In the lead up to the 2016 presidential election, a recording was leaked of the Republican candidate Donald Trump making lewd, to say the least, comments about women and how to treat them and their bits. Many assumed that this would be the end of his bid for president. There was no coming back from this, regardless of political affiliation. Everyone would obviously agree that this kind of behavior should be met with some sort of consequence. Donald Trump was punished by being elected President of the United States. In the lead up to the 2020 presidential election, former Senate staffer Tara Reade came forward with essay allegations against the Democratic nominee Joe Biden. In the era of Me Too and Believe Women, this was sure to be a deadly blow to his campaign. Joe Biden was punished by being elected President of the United States. Don't you just love to see it? Anyways, spoilers for Succession.
And all I've got to offer is sensitivity, intelligence, and charm.
The jacket is coming off because I live in an old New York apartment. And if you've ever lived in an old New York apartment, you know that when the heat kicks on, there is truly no escape from being boiled alive in your own home. New York, truly the concrete jungle that dreams are made of. Succession is an HBO original series created by Jesse Armstrong that premiered in 2018. It is currently between seasons 3 and 4. Here's the Wikipedia synopsis. The series centers on the Roy family, the dysfunctional owners of Waystar Royco, a global media and entertainment conglomerate, who are fighting for control of the company amid uncertainty about the health of the family's patriarch, Logan Roy. Some things not mentioned in that synopsis. The Roy family runs fictional conservative conservative news outlet ATN, and they are stupid filthy rich. The family includes patriarch Logan Roy, his oldest son and Arizona turquoise hippie type Connor Roy, his second eldest son, the unhinged in over his head drug addict Kendall Roy, the twins comedy relief pervert Roman, and gatekeep gaslight girl boss Shiv, Shiv's husband, Mr. Darcy, Tom, and of course, Cousin Greg. Oh, we'll get back to you, Cousin Greg. Apple of my eye. The family is also involved in some very, very, very shady shit. And that shady shit is honestly what I consider more of the plot than the titular drama surrounding who will succeed Logan Roy as the CEO of Royco. Waystar Royco. So let's get into it. What have these Roy kids been up to? I guess first and foremost, Roman blows up a spaceship.
Yeah. Okay, no, it's good. It's good. Wish everyone luck, okay? In Japanese, obviously. Come on. There we go.
Shiv takes advantage of SA victims for her own advantage because she's a woman and they trust her. Connor hangs money over his sex worker girlfriend Willa, and Kendall kills a kid. Well, okay, he didn't technically kill the kid, but he killed the kid. You know what? argue about that in the comments. Did Kendall actually kill the kid? That would be great for engagement.
I mean, if it pleases the court. Sounds like you didn't kill him. It sounds to me like he killed him.
No, I'm a piece of shit, man.
But the road and the water killed him? That's what it sounds like.
No, man. Don't.
No, seriously. I mean, you crashed and then what? You ran?
No. I mean, I tried to get him.
You did? Okay, see? That's...
I dived a few times.
This sounds like the story of a hero to me. I would have been straight out of there.
And all of this is really only scratching the surface. And Succession does this thing where every other episode, you really think this is it. This is when the family gets their due. This is where Waystar goes down. But then, by the next episode, the timeline has jumped ahead by a couple of weeks. And nothing tangible has really changed, except maybe the family hates each other a little bit more than they did before. Some would argue that this is a symptom of bad writing, but I would argue it's actually very intentional. I don't think they're just hitting the reset button in the way that old sitcoms used to. I think there is something being said here. I mean, maybe there's not, but I think there's something being said here. I don't care, you don't have to agree with me. But I'm gonna make the argument now in the next probably 15 minutes. Probably the biggest scandal in the show is an incident surrounding various incidents, is a scandal surrounding the Waystar-owned cruise line, in which multiple women have come forward with SA allegations, and the company has been burying these records and paying off these women since the 90s. Some very nasty things are said about these women. There's something that's like no real person involved or something. I hope I can find a clip, maybe.
I deserve it. Maybe I deserve it.
Oh, no, son.
Yeah, for everything.
No. God, no.
It's good to pay. The boy.
No, not that. On RPI, you're the best. Don't beat yourself up. No real person involved. You know, it's nothing.
And I just want you guys to keep this kind of biggest overarching scandal in mind, because we're gonna come back to it when we talk about Tom and Greg. Told you we'd get back to Greg. So, I want to posit a question, just to step away from Succession for a second. Do the rich really face less consequences in the real world? Not in the world of Succession. We know they don't in Succession, but what about reality? Imagine you are a waitress in New York City. If you're lucky, you probably live in one of these boilerplate apartments. Imagine you are a waitress in New York City, and you work 40 hours a week for less than minimum wage plus tips. You drive your car from Jersey into Queens and notice that your usual parking spot is taken. So you take the spot across the street, not noticing that it's street cleaning day and you aren't allowed to park there. You leave your shift to find a hefty ticket pinned to your windshield. If the ticket is, say, $100, that ticket just costs you hours of work. That $100 could have been used on food or rent. It would be fair to say that that fine is a punishment for missing the street cleaning sign. Now, imagine you're a wealthy Wall Street investor. You have central heating and air conditioning. If you even drive your own car, and many don't, you might go out to eat at the same restaurant that the waitress works at. You might notice the street cleaning sign, and you might choose to park there anyway because there's no other parking available, or it might even just be closer to the restaurant. What's $100 anyway? You piss $100. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said that. I know people do this because I've seen them do it. And I mean, full disclosure, to check my own privilege, I've definitely done similar things where I've taken the fine because I know I can afford it and it makes my life easier to do the thing that's going to result in the fine. It happens more often than you think, people parking in restricted zones knowing that they're going to get fined for it, but resigning themselves to this ticket because to them it's no big deal. The waitress has been punished, the rich person hasn't really. And that's just one small example of how the rich face fewer consequences than the less wealthy. This is happening on a much larger scale. As far back as 1964, articles were being written in the New York Times about this very topic, link in the description, about the advantages richer people have while facing legal battles. These advantages range from political connections, money to post bail or pay for better lawyers, having a public presence, and so much more. In 1983, the Supreme Court overturned the conviction of Robert Dirk. Sorry, that's not his name, it's Raymond Dirks. Raymond Dirks, a wealthy investment advisor guilty of insider trading. It was clear to pretty much everyone that Raymond was guilty, but the court found a loophole to keep his record clean. This case is an example of something called the white-collar paradox. The fact that conservative Supreme Court justices in particular, who almost never vote to reverse the convictions of poorer defendants, have a clear sympathy for rich ones. One study found that during his time on the Supreme Court, Anthony Scalia voted for defendants in only 7% of crimes that were not white-collar, versus 82% of white-collar crimes.
A really important question to ask your lawyer or a lawyer that you're interviewing to handle your white-collar criminal defense cases, the amount of experience that they have in defending those kind of cases. Not all criminal defense lawyers handle white-collar cases. A lot of criminal defense lawyers tend to focus their practice on what we would call blue-collar crimes. White-collar crimes are a lot different. They generally involve business transactions. They can involve issues involving finance, accounting, investments. And so having a lawyer with experience in defending white-collar crimes is very important. I have defended white-collar crimes throughout my 22-year career. Also have an extensive education in business administration, which allows me to understand the case from a business person's perspective.
Claiming that the justice system does not favor rich, often white defendants is simply, objectively false. Let's talk about Tom and Greg. Neither Tom or Greg are really what you would call not wealthy. If either one of them did fall into that category, it would be Greg. But we'll get back to Greg. Let's start with Tom. Tom Wamsgams is the lovable sociopath married to Shiv Roy. Shiv is, to put it bluntly, pretty emotionally abusive towards Tom. She coerces him into an open relationship that he doesn't really want, and then gets mad when he participates in the open part of that relationship, while she's doing it all the time.
I love you.
Uh-huh. Great. Thanks.
No?
I don't know. I love you. I love this rock. Bye, rock!
And the family as a whole really dismisses him as an individual. A perfect example of this is when his college friends come up for his bachelor party, and the family makes him leave those college friends behind after they traveled to get there, because they're not welcome in this exclusive party they're going to. Now, Tom's family is not poor. Both of his parents are lawyers, but they also aren't Roy rich. They make a huge fuss over how they paid for the wine at Tom and Shiv's wedding. And if you've ever had a wedding, you know that that is really not a small expense. They do this to prove that they are also worthy of a Roy event. As for the Roy family, they spend the whole wedding making jabs at how Tom's parents could only pay for the wine.
Fine. I'm gonna head out. I'm just gonna finish this.
My mom and dad made a contribution to the wine, so I'd really rather you didn't drink anymore.
Are you kidding?
Excuse me, thank you. Put it back. Nate.
Come on.
Put it back, Nate. Put my wine back, now. Put it the back.
His lawyer parents. Tom's status as second-class citizen within the Roy family really comes to a head when he is chosen as the fall guy for the cruise ship scandal. Now, don't get me wrong, Tom is definitely pretty guilty in this situation. He did bully Greg into shredding some incriminating documents. We'll get back to Greg.
Dude, yeah, how did it come to this, huh?
Uh-huh.
How did it come to this?
Right.
Just a few seconds. We're almost there. But I think that it's no coincidence that in a family of guilty, culpable people, they land on one of the people with the most to lose. If Shiv and Tom were to divorce, which they should,
I won't let anything happen to you.
You told me you wanted an open relationship on our wedding night.
Oh, so you've been stewing on that?
Well, yes. I have been stirring that, actually. I think, I think a lot of the time, if I think about it, I think a lot of the time, I'm really pretty unhappy.
What are you saying?
I don't know. I love you, I do. I wonder if the sad I'd be without you would be less than the sad I get from being with you.
Tom would no longer have access to the benefits and lifestyle that comes with marrying into a billionaire family. Yes, he still has lawyer parents and is super privileged, but he doesn't have the political and cultural sway of the rest of the family. You know who doesn't have lawyer parents? That's right. It's time to break a few Gregs.
Do you know what is special about the hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. on the night of March 12th?
No, sir.
That was the only 2-hour period in which you did not send an email to Mr. Hirsch with the title, "You can't make a Tomlette without breaking some Gregs." You sent the same email to him 67 times in one evening.
Greg Hirsch is the grandson of Logan Roy's estranged brother. We meet him in episode 1 as he's getting fired from his job as a mascot at the Waystar Run theme park for partaking of the devil's lettuce while on the job. He then makes his way to New York to reconnect with his uncle Logan to try and get his job back. From there, he basically just keeps failing his way up, mostly hanging out with Tom. Greg is the audience stand-in. He is the everyman of the show. In a show full of Elon Musk's and Elizabeth Holmes's, Greg is just our normal guy. The hierarchy of power basically goes Logan Roy, his kids, Tom, Greg, everyone else. Tom is bullied by the family, so Tom bullies Greg, yada yada yada, cycles
Greg, what do you know about Nero and Sporus?
Nero and
Sporus. Greg, yeah. Sporus was a young slave boy. He was Nero's favorite. And you know what Nero did to him?
Nero and Sporus. This is not IP I'm familiar with.
Well, Nero pushed his wife down the stairs. And then he had Sporus killed, and he married him instead. And he gave him a ring, and he made him dress up like his dead wife.
Wow. Plot twist. Didn't see that coming.
I'd kill you and marry you in a heartbeat.
Greg literally lives in the Axel Weber. Greg literally lives in the Axel Weber apartment before Kendall gifts him a penthouse. His favorite restaurant is earnestly California Pizza Kitchen.
Cool. I actually, I finally got paid.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like they're not paying the light bill here, but I actually got paid, and I was thinking about maybe going to. Have you ever visited the California Pizza Kitchen?
The biggest threat to Greg, revealed later on, is that his grandfather will take away his inheritance because he's been hanging out with Logan. See? Even Greg has an inheritance. The difference here is that Greg is really someone who needs that inheritance. He doesn't have public sway or political connections or a family he can trust to keep him protected. If he loses that inheritance, it could actually be pretty devastating to both him and his mother, which the rest of the Roy family really don't seem to grasp, because they don't face those kinds of consequences, not really. Did I mention that Roman blew up a spaceship and it was maybe mentioned like one other time in the entire show? Cool. Like Tom, Greg is implicit in the cruise ship scandal, but it could be argued that he is even less guilty than Tom, because he's, well, 1, kinda stupid, 2, was thoroughly manipulated into believing that if he didn't shred the documents, the family would burn him. 3, he actually kept copies of the documents that were later used to implicate Logan. But, like with Tom, it's kind of interesting that if someone were to go to prison for years and years, decades and decades of cover-ups that were happening before he was even born, it's interesting that it would be Greg. Because Greg is not rich. Greg is kind of the perfect lens to observe this world without consequences through. He's the perfect foil to the rest of the family. He uses his privilege as a straight, for now, white man, distantly related to a powerful family to fail up. But if that were to crumble, well, he would be kind of screwed. Where Roman can blow up spaceships and send dick pics and get barely a slap on the wrist. Kendall can kill a man, lose his spot in the company, and still have millions of dollars to fall back on. Connor can go play pretend politician out in Arizona and not worry about any real fallout. Now, no real spoilers, but it was indicated at the end of season 3 that there's probably a pretty big fallout coming, and things will probably be changing and shifting around. But if I've learned anything from Succession, it's that the uber wealthy Roy family very rarely face any real consequences. Hi guys, I hope you liked this video. A quick announcement before I get into my usual spiel about subscribing and Patreon and stuff. Me and David and our friend Emily made a game. If this video is coming out after March 27th, then that game is on Steam. And if not, it will be live on the 27th, but you can still go and add it to your wish list. The game is called Love and Guillotines, and it is a dating simulator, a visual novel, where you get to smooch prolific figures from the French Revolution. I mean, I'm not going to say it's good. But it exists. Anyways, it exists. Go download it if you want to. It's a really quick play. You can play through the whole thing in like 20 minutes. Okay, the regular spiel. If you liked this video, why not give it a thumbs up? Let me know in the comments, share, subscribe if you want to see more. I upload monthly. If you want to support the channel so I can keep making these, there's a link to Patreon and some merch down in the description. Patrons get Discord access, credit at the end of videos, so much fun stuff. I swear one day I'm gonna make another blooper reel for you guys. If you didn't like the video, you probably ship Roman and Jerry, huh? Guys, it's gross. It's gross, the mommy thing. Bye. The fact that conservative Supreme just... The fact that